Yo, what's up, guys? Doing heroic opulence here. I already have a mythic opulence video, so I will link that in the description below. So you should check that out for the mythic specific mechanics. There are definitely some changes, and it also goes over the right side. You don't see the right side here. Basically, on opulence, there are two sides. So there's one, the hand of Inzashi is the left side mini boss, and then the right side mini boss is Yalet's bulwark, and they're basically both the same. They're both just these, big golems that are. I think they're the protectors of the gems. The protectors of the vault. So you're kind of delving into the vaults, kind of like Indiana Jones, and you're stealing the gems, and then you're, looting the gold. You're getting all the loot. So it's very much like a World of Warcraft type fight. Just get that loot. And we started about like 2 seconds into the fight here, my footage. So I am on the left side currently. So the one thing on the left side are the volatile charges. So I get volatile charge on the first time here. It only targets, a few people. I think it's probably just 3 people on Mythic. And basically it's a recurring mechanic here. All the rooms on the left side, you want to drop this on the edges of the room just so that you have room to stay in the middle and kind of, room to move. You don't want to be dropping those in the middle. So you want to drop them on the edges. And when you get the debuff, you have 6 or 8 seconds to find a good spot and then to drop it. And then you can walk out of it before it does damage to you. So you can actually take no damage from the actual explosion. And then again, let me just rewind here. This is on both sides, so both left and right side have these flame vents. And it's not every room, it's every 2 rooms. I think it's only like 3 of the rooms in total. I think there's 8 rooms in total, so I think only 3 of them have flame vents. So it's not every time, but it's something to definitely to be aware of. So basically, these flame vents, it can be 3 at most, and sometimes it's only 2. But here, so 3 flame vents are opening. You can see them there. So they open there at the top of the screen. And I mean, I'm not standing in a great spot, and I'm not really paying attention too much. It is heroic, and I was just kind of tunneling. If I was playing better, I would have already moved out. So I know that the flame vents are about to kick in, and they're about to start roasting. So you can see them heating up there. And I actually take a tick there. On heroic, it doesn't do too much. On Mythic, it definitely does a bit more damage, so you want to definitely be avoiding that. And then the other thing here is the crush. The crush is also on both sides, so let's just rewind. So you can see the boss here. What he does is when the crush cooldown comes up, he'll just kind of randomly pick a spot. He'll be like, okay, I want to do over here, and he'll start what he does. He might be looking at the tank this way. And then he might just decide, you know what, I'm going to crush over here. Even though the tank is there, I'm just going to turn this way. So you need to make sure you're watching where the boss is. You want to try and stay behind him. Because what the crush is just a big 180-degree in front of him smash where it does, it does a lot of damage, especially on Mythic again. And it stuns you for 4 seconds, I think, if you get hit by it. So that can be a death sentence if you're getting stunned in like a flame vent or with a debuff or something. So you definitely want to watch out for that. So for here, you can see I move behind the boss. So he's crushing there, and I just want to make sure I move behind him. That's a big theme on this fight. You want to make sure you're behind these defending golems on both left and right side. And another big thing is it's good to be close to them when you can. Because that way, if they spin around and they crush like the opposite way that they're facing, then you can get around them quickly. You don't want to be, kind of at an intermediate range because you won't be able to run around quickly to dodge the crush or the flames of punishment. So again, this is what is this? The 3rd room, right? And this is the first laser room. So lasers actually spawn here on people. So what it does, it's kind of like these. I think it's the statues, their eyes, they turn into fucking lasers and they target one person and it sort of follows them on the ground. So we can see here, I think Core, yeah, so Core gets it. So this mage at the top of my screen up here, It spawned on him there, so it makes like kind of a fire swirly under you, and then you want to move out of the swirly. But what that does, that swirly, it tells you that it's on you. There's no other indicator really that it's on you. There's no weak auras, nothing like that. It's not really that type of a mechanic. It's just sort of an environmental type mechanic. So once you see the swirly under you, you know that it's on you and you need to start moving. So he moves out of it there, and then it spawns. And I mean, it's fine. He's just gonna, stand and shoot a little bit more because it's heroic. It doesn't matter too much. But on mythic, of course, you wouldn't want to take even a single tick. It does a shitload of damage. So you just run that around the edge of the room. And again, it's a lot like the volatile charges. You don't want to be running that through the middle of the room, into melee, into the tanks, because it's going to start causing all kinds of positioning problems. People are not going to have anywhere to go without having to take damage. So just be smart with that. Make sure you're trying to just kite it around in just one little area on the edge of the room. And I mean, as marksmanship here, we're just going to be using our true shot whenever we can, using double tap in our true shot window. Just use it when it's up, basically. And so that was like that was just a volatile room. This again is a laser room. The only big difference between left and right side is left side is only volatile charges, and there are no volatile charges on the right side, and instead there is flames of punishment. So flames of punishment, like this crush here, it's sort of a frontal cone. It's about like 70 or 80 degrees in front of him, where he's going to be flaming. So basically it's a lot faster than crush, and he spins. So it's like it's a spinning whirlwind of fire, and it fucks you up if you stand in it. And you definitely don't want to be standing in it, especially on mythic. I mean, on mythic, I think one tick is like 180,000 damage or something. It's very deadly on mythic, and that is definitely something you have to pay attention to. But in my other video, I definitely go into that more because I'm not on the right side in this video, so you can't really see that. But finally, so the big thing in this fight are the gems. So everyone in the group will end up picking up one gem or another. So one of the gems, and I think there are 7 gems in total, or maybe there are 6. I'm not 100% sure. But there are at least 3 DPS ones. There's a tank one, and there are 2 healing ones at least. There might be a third one, I forget. But so the DPS ones, first of all, are the Topaz. So the Topaz is the yellow one, kind of it's on the left side here. So on both the left and the right side bosses, the gems are on the left side. The DPS gems are on the left side. So the first one here, so first up at the top here, that we can see the kind of yellow topaz one, that is the Topaz. So the Topaz, what that does is when you pick up that gem, it gives you a slowly stacking buff where you are gaining crit chance only if you are standing away from other people. So it's a lot like the trinket that drops off of Opulence. If you are away from other people, you will gain a stacking crit buff. And then when that buff hits 100%, when it hits its full stacks, you now will start buffing everyone around you with crit. So it's sort of like you stay out of the group to get the buff up, and then when the buff is up, you go into the group. So that's basically how Topaz works. So basically you want to get it stacked up, and then right when the buff is up, you want to like blink or just run into the group, the whole raid group, as big a group as you can get. All the DPS should be stacked. And then everyone around you gets 100% crit. So that's obviously a lot of damage. That's really good for just doing big damage. And then that buff only lasts for about 5 or 6 seconds, something like that. And then you run out and you just repeat. So Topaz is basically the party buffer. He stays out and then he runs in to buff and then he runs out again. So that's basically how Topaz works. It's obviously only ranged can use that, because a melee would have to stand, outside and wouldn't really be able to hit the boss. And they wouldn't use Topaz. So the second gem here, and it is the most powerful gem, is the Opal of Rage. It's the blue opal here. So the opal it's a very, very simple one. It's completely fire and forget. You just click it once and you never have to worry about anything again, which is another reason it's so good, of course. It's basically every time you tag a new target during the fight, you gain a 2% damage buff. So once I pick up the gem here, we'll see that when I pick it up, let's see, wait for it. I finish rapid fire. So I pick it up and then I already auto attacked, or I was rapid firing. So it immediately tagged the target already. And you can see, so on my weak aura, it says 1 stack is plus 2% damage. It's not DPS. I don't know why that's there, but it's damage. So plus 2% damage. So basically, you know, my aim shots, my rapid fires, everything's just going to start hitting a little bit harder. But what that means is, as the fight goes on, the boss will spawn, so that's another 2%, so that's 4% in total. And then we will get waves of adds, and all of those add waves will add a shitload more stacks. Basically, it's 8 adds that spawn every time, so that is 8 more stacks, and it's 2% per stack, so that is 16% extra damage for every add wave. So on the first add wave, you're already going to be at least at 20% extra damage, and then the second add wave you're going to be at 28%, and then the third one 36, and then the boss will be dead before you will never get fourth add unless you like stop DPS. But so basically the most you can get is about 36% extra damage, but I mean that's, you know, that's good damage. That's a lot of good damage. Or 32, not 36. That's plus 12. Plus 8 is 32%. So you'll probably be at 24% because usually the boss dies on the second add wave, between second and third. So that is the Opal. And then I zoomed in a little bit here. So this is the third one on the left side, is the Ruby. So the Ruby is basically, it's a debuffing Ruby, where when you pick it up, every attack that you're doing to your single target will gain a stacking debuff that just increases their damage taken. So it's sort of the opposite of the Opal, where the Opal is stacking on you and you keep your own buff. The Ruby is stacking on one target. So it's only one target at a time. So you can't, with the Ruby, you can't hit everyone and put the debuff on all of them. It's only going to hit one of them. So it's actually really bad to AoE with the Ruby, because it might reset the stacks, or, you know, it might start hitting something else. So you only want to be doing one target with the Ruby. And I mean, that's the only effective way you would want to do it anyway, because it would just keep resetting the debuff on other targets. So basically the Ruby it's good on rogues, you know, maybe a hunter if you have like a low damage hunter, or just a mage or somebody just sort of a range that knows what they're doing, or like a good melee who knows what they're doing. To just stay on the boss basically as much as they can and keep that debuff up and keep it stacking, and then you're just slowly doing more and more and more damage as the fight's going on, and it just, you know, it really speeds up and they die quickly that way. The fourth gem here, I actually do not know what that is specifically, but I will just say the other gems in the fight there's one tank gem. I don't know where it is, but the tank gem just gives you a flat absorb shield, so that's important for tanks. And then there are 2 healing gems. There might be more. I don't really know a lot about the other gems. I've only done DPS, obviously. I'm a monkey when it comes to knowing the mechanics. But the other one is the healing buff, which it gives you. There's one that gives you just stacking damage percentage. So I think it's a 5% damage increase, and it stacks 5 times. So every time you heal somebody, it gives them 1 stack, and then another heal is a second stack, and then, you know, and it'll stack up to 5 times. So that's a good way to like just kind of keep healing everyone and keep all their stacks high if you have that gem. And then the other healing gem is the really important one. It's basically the most important gem in the fight, is the Shadow Protection gem. And what that does is one of the healers on both sides. So if you should probably have 2 healers on both sides, but one of the healers on each side will always grab the shadow buff. So if one of your healers is dead or they're disconnected or something, and you were supposed to get another gem, make sure somebody is getting that shadow protection gem, because you will die otherwise. Everyone will die immediately. And so when you take the gem, when you steal the gem out of the vault, you actually get a debuff called Thief's Bane, which will kill you after 30 seconds or so. You can see it on my timer there. It will kill you after 30 seconds unless you have that shadow protection buff from the healer with the gem. So again, that's another reason why you absolutely need that gem to survive. To even make it through any part of this fight, you need that gem. So make sure it's on a healer who can heal everyone and knows what they're doing and understands what's happening and all that stuff. And again, here we're just, I'm dodging crush in the final room. So this final room, they go in at 30%. So you got to make sure you're doing a lot more damage in this final room. A few things about the final room. All of the buffs, or I should say all of the mechanics that the guys were doing, the golems were doing previously, they're all kind of enhanced. They're like bigger and badder in here. So the volatile charges, as you can see, they are a lot bigger than they were in the earlier rooms. So like this one here, or these, like you can see they have a much bigger area where they're blowing up. So you got to make sure you're really stacking those well, like right next to the wall. Like don't start it out here from the wall, like just put it on the wall and then start stacking them through, especially in Mythic, because you're going to need all the room you can get. And then finally, the last thing about these last rooms is you might need to hold DPS sometimes, because you want both golems to die at the same time on the right and left side. And obviously you should probably, you have 10 people here and 10 people here. But if somebody's dead over here, or nobody picked up the ruby, for example, because the ruby does big stacking debuff on the target and they start taking a lot more damage. If nobody got ruby, then that side is going to be a lot slower. So if the right side is slower, that means the left side has to stop DPS. They just have to wait until right side catches up, and then you kill them both at the same time. And when they die, you can see here that last gate, it goes down, and then we can go into the middle room. And you can see across the other group is sort of meeting up with us, and we're meeting in the middle to do the actual final boss, Opulence here. So that's the big gold guy. And again, I'm just going to Hunter's Mark, just do my whatever, some aim shots. Usually everyone stacks up sort of right in the middle, like right behind the boss. And so first of all, there's liquid gold. I have liquid gold, and then there's coin shower. So liquid gold is a lot like the first boss from King's Rest. It's sort of when you get it after, I think it's 10 seconds here. After 10 seconds, it drops a puddle underneath you, and that puddle does a lot of damage, like just ticking damage. So the obvious choice for that is you want to get those pools out and then drop them way outside of the middle. You want to keep the middle clear. And there are actually hallways that are going into the boss platform. There's 4 hallways on all the sides of this square. And you should be going all the way out there and sort of dropping those liquid golds like in those hallways, and then moving into the middle, when you need to. Like melee and stuff. Melee, they can't be expected to run all the fucking way out into the hallway and then drop it and then all the way back in. So it really helps for ranged, at least, to move out to the hallways. And then, let's see, coin shower, correct. So coin shower is the other debuff in this phase, where it's basically a shared AoE damage. So if one person is taking a coin shower, it does 800,000 damage or something. So it definitely will kill you if it's just you by yourself. So one thing you can do is you can share the damage with your group, which again is, that's still a lot of damage, and you maybe want to avoid that. And the best way to avoid that is basically you should always just get the coin shower out, just like the puddles, just like the liquid gold. The coin shower should just always run out of the group, and they either immunity, with turtle or ice block or bubble or whatever immunities they have, or you just let them die. Basically, it is better sometimes to just have people suicide during this phase, because you don't want to be sharing that big damage of coin shower in the raid, because you might start falling behind in healing and stuff. And if you can handle the healing, you can do that. But on progression, it's maybe not the best choice. And of course, you can always battle res them if you haven't used a battle res. So that's how you should do it, most likely. The final thing is he summons the spirits of gold, And these spirits of gold, what they do, they spawn on the boss, and then they slowly walk out to the edges of the room, and they start casting like a raid-wide damage AoE thing, I think. I mean, they just start doing damage to the raid, so you need to kill them really as quick as possible. And again, for Opal, Opal is amazing because as you can see here, I'm at 2 stacks. And then right when the ads spawn, I multi-shot. So I multi-shotted, and multi-shot for hunters, it hits everything. You know, it's an all spell, so it hits everything. And I immediately went up to 10 stacks, so now I'm at 20% extra damage. So a 20% damage buff. So that's a lot. I mean, I'm doing a whole lot of extra damage now. And for hunters specifically, the way I like to do it here is right when I see that he's casting spirits of gold, so you know exactly when the spirits are going to spawn, like down to the millisecond when they're going to spawn, so you can time your cooldowns accordingly. And the way I like to do it is just to cast True Shot. So here I casted True Shot right before the spirits came out, and then I just did my damage. You don't really want to waste the global cooldown on True Shot like during the ads, just because they're probably going to die really fast. You do need a lot of damage on Mythic to kill them. They have a lot of health, so they died really quickly here on this sort of overgeared heroic group here, but you definitely want to make sure that you're using your cooldowns like on those ads, just because if they do start walking out slowly and some of them are getting out, then they're going to start doing lots of damage. So you want to, obviously it's good to stun them. Like the moment that they come out, you can stun them, and I think you can slow them as well. They are already kind of slow, but if you're doing it right with Opal, like with your best like big AoE damage players, you want to have them on Opal, just so that they can destroy those ads really fast, just so that that's not really an issue. And then everyone can just focus on the boss. So here you can see we actually do eat a coin shower in the raid, and I mean it really didn't do too much damage on heroic, but on mythic, I mean that can be a little bit of a scary moment. And then the only other thing that he does really in this phase is Wail of Greed. So basically Opulence is like, you know what, I guess he's crying about being greedy or something, but he's doing a shitload of damage. So basically every second or every second and a half, it's ticking for like 500k shadow damage or something, or maybe it's not that much. I guess it's like 200k. Yeah, because it doesn't quite one-shot you if you do not have the buff. So remember, the shadow buff from that healer, from the healer who got the shadow buff gem, if you do not have that shadow buff gem, just because that healer was like, you know what, I'm not healing you and fuck you, I'm gonna let you die, like you will die very, very fast. You will die probably within 2 ticks. I think it's 200k. So without the 90% reduction, as you can see here, each tick I went from 100% down to 88%. So I mean, if you have the buff on heroic, you're not really taking too much damage. And even on mythic, you only go down to like 70%. Maybe it's only about 30% of your health each tick. So it's very manageable in terms of healing cooldowns. Definitely you want to use healing cooldowns during this, of course. But if everyone has the shadow debuff, then you're safe. That's good. If a person does not have the shadow debuff, like if they just took a battle res and they haven't gotten healed yet, or they just, were dodging heals for some reason, they just didn't have any heals on them for a while, they will die like almost immediately. So that's definitely something to look out for. More liquid golds, take those out. But the big thing for marksmanship here, for marksmanship, the cooldown of True Shot is actually about a minute and 15 seconds, maybe a minute and 20 seconds if it's on sort of the slow side. So that's with our normal rotation. But the ads that he spawns, the Spirits of Gold, as you can see, he's spawning them already again. They spawn every minute. So True Shot is up every minute and 20, and the ads are up every minute. Now, you can see here, I have True Shot. So how is that possible? Because it's supposed to be only a minute and 15. Well, basically, as a marksmanship hunter, you want to make sure you're resetting True Shot quickly enough in between ad phases to to use True Shot on the ads, just because I mean you need that extra damage. It's not pad damage. You definitely need the damage on those ads, because if you are not using big cooldowns on every ad phase, on every ad wave, then you're going to start running into trouble on Mythic, where the ads are going to start escaping at like half health, and there's no way to like really focus them down. So the way to do that as marksmanship is to focus on arcane shotting more than you do aim shotting between ad phases, ad waves. So basically that just means that you might have to cap yourself at 2 aim shot charges for a little while, just so that you can arcane shot a few more times and reset the cooldown on true shot in time for the ads for the next wave. And that is pretty important because it's a lot of extra damage, and you do, again, you really need that extra damage. So that's heroic. I mean, heroic is it's pretty similar to mythic. There are some big things on mythic that are a big difference, but you should definitely check out my other video on mythic opulence, and I will link that in the description. I think I posted it like 3 weeks ago or something. It's pretty long, but if you are having any trouble on opulence, like with just any of the little mechanics in the rooms and stuff, and making sure you're dropping good volatile charges, make sure you're dodging flames, like looking out for teleports and stuff like that, definitely check out that video for the mythic version of opulence. And I will be posting conclave as well soon, and I'll see you guys later.